भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास की जय। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। जय श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम सुंदर राधा मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर नगरी धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम शिव श्री जगन्नाथ धाम की जय। हरिभाव जगन्नाथ कीर्तन की जय। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। भागवत महापुराण की जय। हाय गो श्रीमंदे समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री गुरु राम जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। 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 नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपदामह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। नमामि विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। पंचतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामने गौरतिषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। सर्वशास्त्रार्थविदीक्षा सर्वैकतत्परं सर्वसिद्धान्तरत्नाढ्य सर्वलोकैकतत्परं सर्वभागवतप्राणं श्रीमद्भागवतं प्रभो हरिभागवतादित्य श्रीकृष्णपरिवर्तकम्। लोचना विषंग वस्त्राः सुरुचः सुपेशसः सर्वे चतुर्बाहवः उन्मिषन् मणि प्रवेक निष्का आभरणाः सुवर्चसः श्यामावदातशतपत्रलोचनाः विषङ्गवस्त्रा सुरुचा सुपेशसाः सर्वे चतुर्बाहव उन्मिषन्मणि प्रवेकनिष्का आभरणा सुवर्चसः श्यामावदातशतपत्रलोचनाः पिशङ्गवस्त्राः सुरुचा सुपेशसाः सर्वे चतुर्बाहव उन्मिषन्मणि प्रवेक निष्काभरणा सुवर्चसाः श्यामावदात शतपत्रलोचनाः पिशंगवस्त्रा सुरुचा सुपेशशाः सर्वे चतुर्बाहव उन्मिषन्मणि प्रवेक निष्काभरणा सुवर्चसाः वस्त्र सुरक्षित Mataji's. Shama, sky bluish. Avdataha, glowing. Shatapatra, lotus flower. Lochanaha, eyes. Pishanga, yellowish. Vastraha, clothing. Suruchaha, greatly attractive. Supeshashaha, growing youthful. Sarve, all of them. Chatu, four. Bahavaha, hands. Unmission, rising luster. Mani, pearls. Praveka, superior quality. Nishka abharanaha, ornamental medallions. Suvarchasaha, effulgent. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The inhabitants of the Vaikuntha planets are described as having a glowing sky bluish complexion. Their eyes resemble lotus flowers. Their dress is of yellowish color, and their bodily features very attractive. They are just the age of growing youths. They all have four hands. They are all nicely decorated with pearl necklaces, with ornamental medallions, and they all appear to be effulgent. Purport. The inhabitants in Vaikuntloka are all personalities with spiritual bodily features, not to be found in the material world. We can find the descriptions in the revealed scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam. Impersonal descriptions of transcendence in the scriptures indicate that the bodily features in Vaikuntloka are never to be seen in any part of the universe. As there are different bodily features in different places of a particular planet, or as there are different bodily features between bodies in different planets, similarly, the bodily features of the inhabitants in Vaikuntloka are completely different from those in the material universe. For example, the four hands are distinct from the two hands in this world. Hare Krishna. So thank you all very much for turning up for the morning Srimad Bhagavatam class discussions. If you don't mind, you can all come forward. I'm a confirmed vegetarian. I don't eat people, so you can be close. Yes, thank you. इतना दूर तक देखना नहीं पड़ेगा पास में. So here in this pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, who is speaking to whom? भागवतम किसके बीच में हुआ? Shukdev Goswami पक्का ना, confirmed. Okay. Once I was at an engineering college, very prestigious, and I was speaking on Gita. And I asked these fellows who were assembled in front of me, very prudent guys, and I asked them, who spoke the Gita to whom? So there was pin drop silence. And then one fellow courageously raised his hand. I said, yes, tell me, who spoke the Gita to him? And he said, looks like this was a conversation between Duryodhan and Dushasan before the battle began. I said, jahan khada tha wahi baith ja. Aage mat aana. Right? But this, and sometimes people have this confusion, what is Gita, what is Srimad Bhagavatam? So Gita is the conversation that happened between Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Right? And several years later, Srimad Bhagavatam is the conversation that happened between the grandson of Arjuna and son of Vyasdev. That is between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami on the banks of Ganga, on the precincts of Hastinapur. That's where Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken. Gita was spoken for approximately 90 minutes and covered 700 verses. And Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken for 7 days. And it has approximately 18,000 shlokas. So in this conversation, Parikshit Maharaj has been given an ultimatum that he will die in 7 days. Now most of us, if we are given this ultimatum, that we have only few days remaining, so we will try to fulfill all our desires, go to Mauritius, right? Eat all types of pizzas in Govindas, right? Or maybe something else that is there on the mind. Parikshit Maharaj had no confusion. As soon as he came to know that he just has 7 days, he just left everything aside. And what did he leave? He didn't leave one 2 BHK in Malad. Even that is expensive these days. And nothing against Malad, just the name came in my head, right? He didn't leave one job, one position of a CXO, company ownership. No. He was the king of the entire planet Earth. What does that mean? We have no idea what that power literally means. He could do anything that he wanted. And he was a sinless fellow. All his desires were fulfilled. No criminal track record, even in the court of Yamaraj. Generally, we consider ourselves very pious because हमारा पुलिस स्टेशन में कुछ नहीं है. हमारे तो हम बहुत अच्छे आदमी हैं. Sir, we have no bad record in the police station. But what about Yamaraj? All of us have diaries, हमारे नाम की specific. अब हरे कृष्णा में आने के बाद थोड़ा slow हो गया writing उसमें. But we all have sinful baggage. If we do not have sinful baggage, we will not suffer in this world. The reason we experience suffering in our lives is because there is something in the past which we did was not very conducive for our existence. And that's what precisely karma is. But Parikshit Maharaj is pure. He had seen Krishna in the womb of his mother. Right? When he was in the womb of his mother, Ashwatthama released a Brahmastra to kill him with no fault of his own. Parikshit Maharaj had no animosity with Ashwatthama. Sometimes that happens in our lives. Some people become envious of us, even we without doing anything towards them. आपने कुछ नहीं किया है उनके प्रति, but somehow they become envious of you. They want to destroy you, they want to humiliate you, they want to disrespect you. Parikshit Maharaj was in that situation. He couldn't protect himself. He couldn't save himself. Even his mother Uttara couldn't do anything except to turn to Krishna. Pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate. All her Sasurjis are standing there. Arjun, Yudhishthir, Bhima, Nakul, Sahadev. But she did not turn to them. She knew conclusively, this problem, none of these guys can handle. She didn't even go to a doctor. Save me, I'm feeling some pain in my abdomen. She turned to Krishna. Of course, that does not mean we should not go to doctors. If you get pain, please go to doctors. We are not Uttara. But she turned to Krishna, and Krishna, without even hesitating once, he didn't say, this is not my job. I don't get involved with ladies and babies and all that. So no. He immediately assumed a form which was very conducive, entered into the womb of Uttara, and revived Parikshit, who was practically burnt by the heat of Brahmastra. That is the reason his name is Parikshit, because Parikshina, Shirna means who is destroyed, who is burnt completely. Pari means complete, who is completely burnt. And Krishna revived him. And he came out looking for that gentleman whom he saw inside the womb, constantly looking for who is this personality. And Parikshit Maharaj never saw Krishna in his life. He never. He just heard about him. And that attraction for Krishna was so profound. How do we know? How do we test our absorption in Krishna? Anybody can quote a lot of shlokas, which is good, wonderful, absolutely no problem. Anybody can sing very beautifully. Anybody can manage very nicely. Anybody can clean the temple very nicely. Those are wonderful activities of showing our service attitude to Krishna. But what really tests our absorption in Krishna? Difficulties, challenges, setbacks. Externally, a neem wood block and a chandan wood block appear similar, till you rub it against the stone. Similarly, someone whose consciousness is absorbed in Krishna and someone whose consciousness absorbed in one's own abilities, is one's own attributes, the difference is clearly seen when they are rubbed in life. Rubbed very harshly in life, and life will rub you very harshly, no matter who we are. Sometimes people have this misconception that if I come to spirituality, all my problems will be over. How many of us felt like that? Others are still thinking problems will get over. That's not the case. Problems will be there in our lives. Look at these great examples of Maharani Kunti, Maharaj Parikshit. They attracted so many problems, such nice people. But they attracted so many problems in their lives. The problem is not a problem. What do we do when the problem strikes us? That's the question. So Parikshit Maharaj, when he's cursed, again, he is in the forest, making sure that the forest is safe for these sages to live and perform their austerities. He is on a hunting excursion, not because he liked hunting and he wanted to have a deer skin in his drawing room wall. That was not the purpose. The purpose was that it should be safe for sages to live so that they are not threatened by any kind of dangerous species living in the forest, any beasts, so they would kill them. And he became exhausted, he became hungry, he became thirsty, and at that point of time, he just happened to see a hermitage, and he entered that place, not expecting a grand Chappan Bhog reception, but just some water, simple. But there he saw this particular sage sitting in deep meditation, no mistake of his own. Even Shamik Rishi was not deliberately trying to ignore Parikshit Maharaj, but Parikshit Maharaj entered. And then Shamik Rishi is in deep meditation, and somehow Parikshit Maharaj at that point of time felt a little agitated because of hunger and thirst. होता है ना जब पांडव निर्जल एकादशी करी या कोई ऐसा एकादशी करो, अगले दिन सुबह वो लेमन जूस की लाइन लगती है, खिचड़ी की लाइन लगती है, और उसमें अगर जो सर्वर धीरे धीरे सर्विंग कर रहा हो, प्रभु जी डू इट फास्ट, नो जल्दी करिए ना आप, hunger thirst. Our intelligence goes off.
So temporarily, Parikshit Maharaj said, you have not treated a guest who has come to your place. You're as if like a dead person. So let me like, we just picked up a dead snake and put it on his neck. Not a live snake. It wasn't a live cobra was in the neck of Shamikrishi. It was a dead snake. And he left. And Shamikrishi didn't even wake up after that. He was deep in meditation. He didn't knew Parikshit had come. Parikshit didn't knew that he was in Mauna. They both didn't knew what they were into that situation. Both were great souls. Somehow some misunderstanding happened. Right? This is the nature of this world. In Kali Yuga, it is very difficult for people to be close together. When they are too close, they fight. And when they stay away from each other, they become hypocritical. They try to show what they are not. So what should we do? Should we fight or should we stay away? What should we do? So we should keep coming together at more frequent and regular intervals so that the fighting doesn't become too big, and at the same time hypocrisy doesn't take us over. So Parikshit Maharaj went to his place, and Shringi, the son of Shamik Rishi, he was told by some of his friends that this is what has happened in his hermitage. Even before going back to the hermitage and seeing what has happened, asking his father what exactly happened, out of his great pride and anger and vengeance, he just pronounced a curse on Parikshit Maharaj. That you have put a snake in my father's neck, may you be bitten by a snake in 7 days and die. He came back. And when Shringi, the son of Shamik Rishi, came back and he saw Shamik Rishi in that position, he just started crying very loudly. Not because he was very indignant upon seeing his father in that situation, but because in his heart of heart he realized what mistake has he done. The curse was already pronounced. And Shamik came to know and he says, alas, what a disaster you have done. You have cursed Parikshit Maharaj, because of whom Brahmanical culture has spread, because of whom we are all peacefully practicing our austerities without any danger, without any threat. You cursed him. And Shamik Rishi at that time reflects that he has the capacity to counter curse Shringi, but Parikshit won't do that. Tiraskrata vipralabdha shapta shaptahata pina tadasya pratikuruvanti tad bhakta prabhuvopi. That is the nature of a devotee. Gaurang Prabhu, while once speaking on this verse, he said, no revenge is the best revenge. Because when you don't take revenge, and not that you are praying for revenge, Krishna, मैं कुछ नहीं कर रहा हूं पर आप देख लेना इसको. Krishna, please, I'll do 4 more extra rounds पर उसका ना टांग टूट जाए, बस at least इतना कर देना. मारो मत, but no. A devotee has no such feeling. He doesn't have to fight these feelings. He doesn't even get them. Why he doesn't get them? Because he understands that whatever is happening, nothing is an accident in this world, and Krishna never makes mistakes. Never. Whatever is happening in my life, no matter how bitter it appears, is exactly what I need in order to come closer to Krishna. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was once speaking. I was hearing his class recently. And he mentioned Krishna is such a benevolent supreme being. He loves all of us so much, more than we can love him. And he said that anything that happens in anyone's life, whether they are devotees or whether they are not yet devotees, is all for the purpose of bringing them closer to their eternal position of residence in Vaikuntha, residence in the spiritual realm. Now, what to speak of someone who has started walking the path of bhakti? Anything that happens in your life, rest assured, it's not an accident. Galti ho gayi, Bhagwan ne karma galat bhej diya. Na. Just like amongst millions of calves, a cow can easily recognize who is her calf. Right? They don't make mistakes. Similarly, karma will exactly find out who to go to without any mistakes. So Parikshit Maharaj was cursed, and as soon as he came to know that he has been cursed like this, he did not take his battalion and his army to go to Shamik Rishi, sab tehs nehs kar do, kaat dalo. No, none of that is stuff. He did not become even fearful as per Srimad Bhagavatam. He immediately relinquished everything, accepted it gratefully that Krishna, thank you so very much. If you would not have sent this curse, Krishna has come in the form of this curse to detach me, who otherwise is such an attached person who will not give up attachment. He's saying this when he's actually so detached. That is the nature of humility, actually. Person who says, I am humble, is definitely not humble. Rest assured. And one who is humble will not accept that he is humble. So how will you know who is humble? You will not know. Only he would know who is humble. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtanaya sadahari. We also use this verse quite often when we want to pacify the other fellow who is angry. Thanda ho ja, trinadapi sunichena. Be tolerant like a tree. ठीक है ज्यादा गुस्सा नहीं करें. We don't apply it to ourselves. So Parikshit Maharaj, at this point of time, he just left everything, left his grand palace. It is not that the entire kitchen team or the cooking team had to go to where Parikshit Maharaj was going so that he can be taken care. He just left everything and everyone behind and moved to the forest, moved to the banks of Ganga. Because Ganga is very auspicious. She is Vishnu Padi. She carries the dust of the lotus feet of Sri Narayan. Extremely purifying. So he went and sat on the banks of Ganga, just not knowing what to be done. But when you start walking towards Krishna, Krishna starts opening gates for you. Some gates will be closed. Don't worry. Something else will open up. Sometimes will pull you out of a window also. May not open a gate. And then all these are sages and assembly of personalities from all over the universe. This became viral without Instagram. Nobody posted Parikshit cursed going to Ganga. Follow hashtag Parikshit dying. No. But everyone in the universe within a couple of hours knew what was happening in Parikshit Maharaj's life, and everybody hastened to that specific spot. Narad Muni, Vyasdev, Vasishtha, all these great sages, Jabali Muni, Parshuram, all these personalities, they came from all over the universe without invitation. With their disciples and everyone, something super excellent is about to happen. We don't know what will happen, but let's go. And Parikshit Maharaj asked them a question. Please tell me, what is the responsibility, what is the duty of someone who is about to die? And people in general. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was giving a class I was hearing recently, and he said, everyone is in old age. He gave a very profound definition of old age. He said, after 25, how many of you here are below 25? बहुत दिन तक नहीं रहोगे, हो जाओगे 25 के. You're growing. But he said, anyone above 25 is actually old. In case you are wondering, I'm still young. You have already started going into your old age. He said, old age stays for an extremely long period of time. So in one sense, we are all, this question is very pertinent to all of us. What is the duty of someone who is about to die, and especially people in general? And everybody was quiet. They just didn't know what to answer. All these great sages, they couldn't speak a word. They started discussing amongst ourselves, but they were not sure what to be said. And at that time, just like you see in Indian Bollywood movies, the hero comes in. Right? Generally, they show some very grotesque things to make the hero entry. But here, the hero of Srimad Bhagavatam enters, Shukdev Goswami. Naked, 16-year-old looking boy, extremely beautiful and attractive. Long arms, beautiful eyes, beautiful rounded limbs. And he walks in, no introduction, no pleasantries, goes straight to the Vyasasana and sits down. He knew what he was supposed to do. And then the conversation began between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukdev Goswami. And this particular chapter Shukdev Goswami practically began to speak from the first chapter of the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Parikshit Maharaj is asking very important questions. And in this the 8th chapter, the chapter before that, Parikshit Maharaj asked very important questions about what did Narad Muni do? How did the creation take place? He asked volley of questions. And in response to those questions, Shukdev Goswami now begins to answer, beginning from the first entity, Brahmaji, in this universe. And he began to explain that when Brahmaji was born from the beautiful navel of Lord Vishnu sitting on a lotus flower, there was no one around. The lotus was growing from the navel of Lord Vishnu. He didn't know why he existed. He didn't know who he was. He didn't know what was the purpose that he was born. Why did he exist? And there was no one around to talk to. There was complete darkness, pitch dark. And as he was sitting on this lotus flower, these huge, terrible winds were just swaying this lotus flower back and forth. Very difficult situation. So Brahmaji wanted to figure out, where have I come from? So naturally he began to go down. कि जहां बैठा हूं उधर से नीचे उतर के देखता हूं कहां से उग रहा है. For several celestial years he went down, could not find the source from where it has actually come up. Right? Sometimes you go to very tall buildings and the elevators are very slow. Right? And then the elevators take a hell lot of time to come down and you wonder, kab aayega niche? So Brahmaji went for several celestial years down this lotus system, couldn't find his source. And at one point of time, he was exasperated. He was exhausted, emotionally, intellectually, confused. So at that time, he did not jump out of the lotus system into the water, ki let me kill myself. He went back, patiently began to wait. There must be some indication in this universe which will answer my questions. And at that time, he heard these two syllables, Tapa. Tapa means austerity. Tapasya. It was not that he was given a full class or a full statement was said, Tapasya karo aise, but only Tapa. There was no one else to instruct Brahmaji, so Krishna from within the heart, he actually instructed Brahmaji. Perform Tapasya. And Brahmaji did not doubt it. He was not like, Arey, what if this is simply a cheating proposition, mujhe phasa rahe tapasya karne mein. He sat down there and began to perform intense tapasya, super intense tapasya. Not for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, for 1,000 celestial years. He performed tapasya. And what we are reading today is the fruit of Brahmaji's patient thousands of years of tapasya. So when the tapasya was done, Lord Vishnu was pleased with him and he awarded him his blessed darshan. And he revealed his supreme spiritual abode of Vaikuntha to Brahmaji. So this is what the description is here, that Brahmaji is now observing those residents of Vaikuntha, that Vaikuntha abode, which is the spiritual dimension which exists in this material world, which exists beyond this material world. Brahmaji, by his personal efforts, he could not understand Krishna. He could not understand who he was, what the purpose of his life was. And when we just depend upon our own efforts to figure out the answers of life, we often land up being confused, perplexed, anxious, disturbed, clueless, hopeless. And when you feel that there is no way out, there is darkness all around, the most important thing is to not be hopeless. Govind Prabhu was once mentioning in his class, he said, he was quoting someone and he said, If you are not an optimist, you're an atheist. Be hopeful no matter how dark the situation is. And understand, maybe I need more purification. I need more intensity in order to figure out the answers to my questions before the answers are actually revealed. Brahmaji performed this tapasya. Krishna in the Gita, 18th chapter, he explains that no one should give up these three things in life. No matter how exalted you are, no matter how wonderful you are, no matter how long you have been performing devotional service, no matter how learned and knowledgeable you are, yajna, dan, and tapa. Krishna says these three things, pavanani manishinaha. Even learned people are purified by practicing them. What is yajna literally means? Yajna means sacrifice, to give up something for the sake of a higher purpose, for a higher cause. Krishna says in the Gita 10th chapter, Yajnanam japa yajnasmi. Amongst the sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names. But what yajna is literally happening? Sometimes people have a conception that yajna means some fire has to be there, something has to be poured in, flames have to rise high, then that is yajna. That definitely is yajna, no doubt about it. But the idea is, you are offering something valuable in something which is divine. So when we do japa, when we chant Krishna's names, we are offering our consciousness, our attention into the fire of devotion for the sake of the Supreme. Right? When you love someone, you give attention to them. Correct, no? You spend time with them. Imagine a boy and a girl meeting each other, and they are meeting and sipping whatever, coffee, tea, or soft drink, and they are looking in the sky. Right? They're looking in the sky, not talking to each other. Do you think the relationship will move forward? It won't. The girl will say, boy is weird. Right? Boy is weird. The boy will say, girl is spaced out. They will give us some denominations and move on. So for love to actually fructify, for a relationship to develop, I need to be paying attention to the person who is in front of me. So when I'm chanting Krishna's names, I need to pay attention to them, to those names, because Krishna is not different from his name. We are all different from our names, but Krishna is not different from his name. Means the effect that you get by Krishna's personal presence, you can get the same effect when we sincerely chant his names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Our Sudama Prabhu used to crack a very interesting joke when he would say people would chant japa and have a phone in the other hand. Right? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. ऐसा भी होता है ना जपा? ये उंगली इधर स्क्रॉल करती है, ये उंगली इधर स्क्रॉल करती है. And he would say, if you have a Nokia phone in your hands and you're doing japa, then it is japa Nokia. That is japa Nokia. आपने नहीं किया जप, कुछ और हुआ है ये. But even that inattentive, spaced out chanting purifies us. That is the potency and kindness of Krishna. Krishna's powers stems from his mercy, from his compassion. He doesn't want, when he purifies us, he doesn't want to show us his prowess. He wants to touch us by his compassion, by his grace. Krishna doesn't love us because of who we are. Krishna loves us because of who he is. Because if he starts loving us because of who we are, then we have no chance. He loves us because of who he is. So yajna should never be given up. Dan, charity. Right? Different kinds of charities people do. Whatever valuable you have, you give it, offer it as an act of charity. You have money, you offer that as charity. You have time, you offer that as charity. You have knowledge, you share that with others, that is charity. But dan should never be given up. And third thing he says is tapa, austerity. What is austerity? On one level, when we follow the four regulative principles, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex, it is austerity. But beyond that, to tolerate the six anarthas, lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, illusion, to tolerate their urges is actual austerity. To put aside our ego and unite for a higher cause. To put aside our ego to let the relationships flourish. To put aside our ego to be able to serve together. That's austerity. So tapa should never be given up. So when Brahmaji performed these intense austerities, initially his attempts to understand Krishna, understand his own source, and he failed in his attempts to understand his own source, to get knowledge, and that generated humility in his heart. I do not know. That is the beginning of sincere, genuine spiritual life. I do not know. As long as we are affected by pride, we think, I know. I know what you are thinking. I know what needs to be done. I know how I'll become spiritually advanced. But real knowledge, when it dawns, the first thing that happens is we realize, I do not know. The purpose of entire knowledge of scriptures is to bring us to the point where I say, I don't know. Brahmaji came to that conclusion, I do not know. He became humble. And at that time, he was revealed the process by which he could purify himself further to get the answers that he was looking for. But the answers did not come overnight. Sometimes we begin chanting and we say, I've been chanting for 3 weeks and I'm still not getting Krishna's darshan. Why is he not speaking? Why is he quiet? I've been chanting for 3 weeks. And then somebody who has been chanting for 10 years, 15 years, they look at him and say, nahi, lage raho. Hoga, hoga. Dekho, thoda sa smile karne lage. It is not a matter of 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 40 years, 100 years, 1,000 years. Athapi te tev badam bhujadvaya prasad leshanugrahita evahi. There is no number which you can satisfy and then you will have a realization of Krishna's presence in your life. It is purely up to him. Prasad leshanugrahita evahi. Simply a trace of Krishna's mercy. Krishna is pleased. You will get. So what should we do? Patiently go on performing bhakti yoga. Day in and day out, every single day, week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade. And if not done properly, lifetimes after lifetimes. And His Holiness Bhanu Swami Maharaj, in one class, he said that even if it takes couple of lifetimes to go back to Krishna, it's still very quick. Because we have spent millions of lifetimes here. So, do char, koi baat, no problem. Be enthusiastic, move on, have patience. But people sometimes lose patience because they lack experience in bhakti. We lack experience in bhakti because we don't do the process well. We commit offenses. We don't chant attentively. We don't take to the medicine properly. And therefore we don't experience the benefits. And therefore we become very impatient. And when we become impatient, our mind tends to make us give up the path of bhakti. So patience is required. And when this patience comes, then eventually person will be actually be able to receive Krishna's mercy. Anyone can perform bhakti for a day enthusiastically, for a week very nicely. Krishna likes to see consistency. Rupa Goswami, I'll conclude with this. Rupa Goswami says, what is the nature of pure love? Shuddha Prem, ki kya lakshan hai? And he says, when there is separation, and there is no reciprocation, that is the sign of pure affection. In this world, that's impossible to find. Someone is not reciprocating with you properly, you give up on him. Right? We break off, we part ways. There's no reciprocation. In this world, relationships get destroyed by distance, disagreement, decisions, or death. Relationships separate. So people go separate, emotions go off as well. But true affection is when there is separation and there is no reciprocation from the other person, still you continue to love. And Rupa Goswami gives this definition that pure love in the spiritual world is when there is no reason for a relationship to continue, but still you continue. That is the sign of, which is not possible in this world. People are into sometimes abusive relationship, doesn't mean they have to just continue to get abused. But that is the standard. So when we practice the path of bhakti, with the help of a scriptural knowledge, getting absorbed and getting experience of that realm through the medium of the transcendental books like Srimad Bhagavatam, that generates patience in our hearts, which helps us become consistent in our spiritual practices. And this will eventually help us realize our own spiritual nature and our own loving relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But what we need to do is be consistent in the basic principles of bhakti. Srila Prabhupada said, bhakti is very simple, but not easy. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. Sorry for going a little over time. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavat Mahapuran ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Hare.
Last year, I heard you in Kanpur ISKCON few months before.
Yes, you're from Kanpur.
I was in Kanpur and now in Thailand.